Afternoon, everyone. Today we're having a look at measuring your progress. Um, so, as most of us have covered the goal setting webinar, where we talk about how it's really important that everyone's got a goal and to have that goal laid out in a proper sort of framework. It's also really important that we're constantly tracking our progress to make sure that the efforts that we're making on a daily and a weekly basis are moving us in the right direction. um, Most of us just don't look at the tracking side of it in as much detail as is really needed. So having a goal isn't enough by itself. You have to have some way of tracking your progress towards that goal. Without a regular reminder of how you're doing, you can't know whether the actions you're taking are working to move you closer to your end point of better health or fitness or better body composition. Let me tell you, it's tough to stay motivated when you don't know if the things you are doing are moving you further towards or setting you back. Unfortunately, just by going by memory or overall feeling isn't enough. Keeping mental track can lead to missing small gains you're making in all areas. So it's really important that we do track things, because, as I say, if things aren't moving in the right direction, we can make some small changes to the program. We can alter things. We can look at your food diaries. We know that something's not quite right, but oftentimes people will just leave it, and they'll get three or so months in, and then they'll realise that what they've been doing hasn't been working. Whereas if we've been measuring it regularly and consistently, we can make small little changes. I think a lot of people think of their exercise routine or program that it should just be fixed, and so long as they're exercising, that's enough. It really isn't. um, Athletes will have to constantly be tweaking what they're doing, but the only way they can tweak their program and their nutrition is based on their testing, knowing whether they're moving in the right direction. So I'm going to suggest two forms of tracking for your progress. The number one option that we're going to do is measuring your body composition. So looking at whether your inches are moving in the right direction using a measure tape. So really simple. We'll talk about how to do that in a second. And number two is measuring your health and fitness gains. So today I'm going to only cover the basic options that you can do at home, but for more advanced options, just let me know, and we can look at that in more detail. Obviously, if you come to the screening sessions that I'm running, we can look at more advanced options there. Or if you're just going to go it at home, then stick to the one I'm showing you now. So how it all works, you can either undertake the screening at home and then email me your results on a monthly basis. If you can email them to me at the end of each training phase, so every 4 to 6 weeks, because like I say, it's all very well taking the measurements and looking at your progress from 6 weeks before. But if you email it over to me, I can then look at your progress and maybe suggest, oh yeah, that we haven't seen much progress there. We need to meet up and go over information in more detail. Or you might be making real good progress, and that's absolutely fine. Or you can attend one of our screening sessions carried out by me. These will take place at the end of each training phase, so every 4 to 6 weeks. I will email out two options during the last week of the training phase that you can attend. There'll be an evening option and a weekend option. Um, if you want to do the home version, then please collect a form from me at the end of one of your classes, and then you can use that form to record all the information from the home screening that way. So if we have a look at body composition, so there's loads of ways of doing this. Obviously, we could use the scales, we could use calipers for body fat testing. There's loads of different methods, but to keep it simple, what we're going to do is we're going to just simply look at using a measure tape for this. Um, so the first measurement that I want you to take is the chest measurement. Now this isn't just taking into consideration chest, it's also taking into consideration back fat as well, or back inches. So what you will do is pass the measure tape around the chest, around the back, and bring it down out in front of the chest. Probably the best method to do for making sure that it's accurate each time is basically doing it over nipple line, and then you know that you're getting the same point each time. For waist, the second measurement, what you'll do is run it around the waist, basically covering the belly button up. Make sure it's in line at the front and at the back, and if it's covering the belly button up again, it's at the same place each time. For the hips, what we want to do is focus on the widest point on the hips there. So as you can see, it's quite a lot lower down than what most people think. So on the widest point on the hips, if you put your hands onto your sides there, you should be able to feel like the boniest point where it's pushing out the most. That's where you'll take it, and it's literally across the middle of the bum. For the thighs, what I recommend that you do is you touch the top of the kneecap, so the very top of the kneecap, and then measure 7 inches up from there. And then if you measure from that point around the thigh, and then for the arm, again, what I would do is get to the shoulder, the top of the shoulder, and then measure 7 inches down, and record the arm measurement. So you can do both right and left, obviously, so that we can see if there's any major differences between the two. So long as you do it the same way each time, then we know that we're fairly accurate with things. So then what we're going to look at now, so this is the second part of the testing, which is the health and fitness test. So the first one that I want you to do here is taking your resting heart rate. So you can either use your wrist for finding your pulse, or you can use your neck. Generally, you start off right in the center, and you put your move out to the side slightly and then up. And what you'll do is take your pulse for 60 seconds. Try and make sure that you do it when you're at your most relaxed. And then record whatever that number is. So it will usually be around sort of 70, 75 beats per minute. If it's like, way over, if it's 90 plus, then obviously let me know. And obviously some people's might be quite a bit lower than that anyway. But yeah, record that down. Then the second test that you're going to do is the squat test. So as you can see, the bottom chart is the women's one there. In fact, it's not caught it all very well. I'll have to adjust that. But you can see that it tells you age range, so 18 to 25, 26 to 35, 36 to 45. So there's the age ranges, and then you've got categories of machine, excellent, good, average, fair, poor, and sort of rehab level. So as you can see, someone who is 18 to 25, the excellent range says that they should be doing 39 to 44 squats in a minute. And then for a 36 to 45-year-old should be doing, for excellent, around 28 to 34. For average, it would be 19 to 22. So what you would need to do when you're doing the squat test is use a base to lower yourself down to. What I recommend doing is using a chair that's around knee height, so that you're getting a good 90-degree bend in the squat. Try and make sure that the weight's firmly on the heels, that the knees are in line with the toes, and your back's nice and straight. So you'll only count the squats where your bum touches the chair. Um, any pain or anything like that, obviously put that down on the form so that you can let me know that there's pain present in that movement pattern, and we can talk about that then in more detail. So it's 60 seconds, as many squats as you can, and you'll count how many reps you get. But as I say, focus on the quality of them, only count the ones that are deep enough. If you want to make it harder, you could choose a lower setting, something a little bit lower than knee level, so you're getting a little bit deeper in there. That will challenge you even more then. Okay, then the press up challenge. So this one can be done off the knees as well. Yeah, so you can work this off the knees rather than off the toes. As you can see, it tells you their hands are just a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. We're lowering the chest and the nose towards the floor, making sure that the back is nice and straight, and the core is locked in tight. Only count the ones where the nose pretty much touches the floor, but everything's in perfect alignment as well. As I say, chest and nose coming right down to the floor and then straight back up, whether you're off the knees or off the toes. And we, as I say, want to do we want to do 60 seconds. Count how many reps you can get. Only count the ones that are good quality repetitions. Yeah, if you need to stop, you can stop as many times as you need to. Again, record down if there's any shoulder pain or elbow or wrist pain. That's useful information. And then, as you can see, there's the men's chart, the women's chart there, and it tells you the age range at the top, and then excellent, good, average, fair, poor for what we should be aiming for in terms of reps. Then number 4, so we've got the plank challenge. So this is simply just aligning the body so that the ankles, the hips, the shoulders and the ear is all in one alignment. The elbows are underneath the shoulders, and the stomach muscles are really tight. You shouldn't feel this in your back. If you feel it in your back, you're not using your stomach muscles enough, but you shouldn't be pushing up out of that alignment either. So if you have to change your alignment, you can't hold that position at all. You can also do it off the knees. So you then keeping the knees are on the floor, and the hip and the shoulder and the ears are in one alignment, so they're in the same line. As you can see, excellent would be 120 seconds or more. Good, 75 to 120 seconds. Average, 45 to 75 seconds. And then poor, below 45 seconds. If you need more challenging versions of these, obviously let me know and I can show you some other variations. Again, report if there's any lower back pain on your form. And then finally the step up test. So this test is based on a 12-inch step. So use one as close to that. So yeah, if you've not got a step, you could always use a chair. Make sure it's a sturdy chair. Make sure it's secure in that before obviously using something like that, or a step or something at home that you've got. So yeah, as close to it as possible. It says about using a metronome, but to be honest with you, you don't have to use one of those. You can easily get it off the internet and just type in metronome, and it will come up with using a 96 beats per minute, and you can follow that. But if you haven't got one of those, or you can't sort of get to one of those, then what you can always do is just do as many step ups as you can. So it's 3 minutes in total. And what I suggest doing is you use the same lead leg, but what I would do is switch it at halfway, so about 1.5 minutes, switch the lead leg. You can rest as much as you need to, but say standing. And then once you've done the 3 minutes consecutively, what you would do is sit down, count your pulse for a full minute, and you should start to notice that the pulse starts to recover during that minute. And then what it's about doing is you could record how many step ups you get. If you're not using the metronome, you could just count how many step ups you get in total, and also record down your recovery heart rate. What did it get down to after 60 seconds of doing the step ups? And then that gives us an idea as to your recovery rates and your efficiency to deal with the stress of exercise. So, as I say, if you want to get involved with that and you have any questions, obviously let me know and I can demonstrate these exercises for you after one of the classes, or we can come in at the weekend and we can go through it, or as I say, attend one of the screening sessions where we'll do it all together and we can start recording all this data down, which alongside with your program cards will make a massive difference in terms of monitoring your progress. As always, any questions or any problems, just reach out to me.